Hello everyone, this is my video walkthrough of this game Abandoned, the Cube Chambers. Basically I'm going to give you the answers to these things, and if you get to the point where it gives you the idea of how to do it and you want to figure it out yourself, then pause the video. I'm going to just tell you how to solve these puzzles. Alright, so we're going to start with a new game. We end up in this chamber. I'm going to turn off the sounds because it interferes with my recording. And this gibberish comes up, and here you are. Now, this entire game and all these puzzles are based on cubic units, basically a cubic array generally, or matrix. So here we have a 3x3 matrix of cubes. Each cube has an eyeball in it, and at one place or other there's usually a plaque, which is as much as doesn't really give you any meaningful information. It's a place marker. So here we can go up. This is the upper, this is the top in the middle, because we can still go to the left and down and so forth. And when we get to this plaque, we are in the middle. So there's one over here, and one above and one below. Each one has this eye, as I said. Some are up, the eyeball, and some of the eyeball is down. Object is to get them all to point down, and you do that by clicking on it. And I'll show you that. Turn this on for a second. That's the sound it makes. Now, the problem is that you don't just go from chamber to chamber and change the eyes, because when you change this eye, it changes this eye. See, this one is down, it was up. Now this one is down, this one is up again. So it gets a little bit tricky, because changing one eye changes others. The answer to this puzzle is quite simple. This one is in the middle. When I change this one, it changes the eyes in either direction, up and down, side to side, but not up in the corners. So then I go to the corner. So what has happened is, when I change that one, all of the eyes except for the top row and the left-hand row, left-hand column, have changed to down. Now I'm going to turn on the sound. So then if I change this one, it changes all in that direction, all below it. And then that solves the puzzle, which you will know by the sound. It tells you solved the puzzle. The eye moves like this. It's interesting that all of the eyes are pointing towards the center, right? And that's where you've got to get back to, and then the center eye is centered, whereas the rest are in some other position. To get out of here, you just click on the eye, the box forms, opens up the tunnel, and you go to the next puzzle. Now this is another matrix of cubes, a bunch, I don't know how many honestly, but a bunch up and a bunch sideways. We are here in the bottom left hand corner, and hopefully this is the coordinates of a room. They have their own little numbering system. This is a number and this is a number. This is a column number, and this is the row number. You have to find this room, and everything's in numerical order, so you just have to understand how this system works. You don't even have to know what these numbers mean. You got to know this. I mean, you go up and down through the bricks, obviously. You may have figured that out. This plaque here tells you what is on the other side of that window. So over there is room number 2, and or rather column number 2, row 1. We're still in row 1, bottom row, and we're going over, when we go through here, we're in the second column. And likewise, this tells you what's on the other side of this door, and that tells you where we were is 1, 1, which is what it should be. This tells you what's up above. So the square that's above here is the second row of the second column, and so forth. So if we go back to our, this is a U dot. The only thing you've got to remember is the U dot. So we're going to go this way, and we're going to keep looking for U dot. Alright, so this tells us what's on the other side of this, not where we are now, but on the other side of this is U dot. And this is over here U dot 1, so all you have to do is go up now, because we've gone over to the right column, and now we have to find the row, and you will know it when you see it, because it has that. You don't have to worry about anything else. That's that. Click on it, and in you go. Now this is a very tricky puzzle. It's a 5x5 matrix of cubes, black and white alternating, to emulate a chessboard. This is a chess piece known as a knight, and if you know how to play chess, you know that the knight moves in an L shape, so that it moves 2 squares in one direction, 1 square in the other direction. And that's the key to this. The object is to go to each of these 25 boxes. Actually, we're going to make 24 moves, because you're already here. This is bottom right hand corner. So there's 4 others in this direction, 4 others in that direction. And your object is to move according to the rules for moving a knight in chess to each of the other 24 boxes without repeating a box. And press this red button, which turns green. I'll show you what it sounds like. And that's it. So that's, if it does that chirp, you've done it right. If it's wrong, if you've made a mistake, it will buzz and reset everything, and you've got to start over. I've worked this all out, and we're going to I'm going to do a couple just to show you, but I have a spreadsheet and a link to it so you can look at the spreadsheet. I don't think you can download it or anything, but the spreadsheet will give you the answer to this puzzle. And I have it in this book. Hang on a minute. So all right, so as I said, the knight moves 2 squares in one direction, 1 square in another direction. And I'll put the link to the spreadsheet giving you the answers, but what happens here, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to crank through the whole thing. I'm just going to do a couple to show you how it works. So the first one we have to do, and I've worked this out, so you say, well, how do you know you got to do this? Well, I worked it out, and just take my word for it. There is no system to it. You just have to crank through it until you figure it out, which is what I did, to your benefit. Okay, over 2. Up 1. Push the red button. It bleeped, so that was correct. The next one is over 2, down 1. You could also do it down 1, over 2, it doesn't matter. And there you go. So I'm going to crank through this and to the last one, and then we'll pick up then. Okay, I've gone through to next to the last one, and the final one is over 2, hopefully, and up 1. And there you go. it made a little bit of a different sound. And then the trick is to get to the square here, which happens to be in the center of the matrix. The matrix I have given you the link to has numbers starting with 0, which is where you start with on this thing where the horse is, and 1 is the first box you go to, 2 is the next box, and so forth. So it ought to be fairly simple. Click on here, and we end up here. Now, this one is a little time consuming, and I am going to crank through it. This is a 3x3 matrix of cubes, except for one, which is missing here. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to leave it on for a second. See this plaque? This is an empty box. This thing is a 3x3 sliding puzzle. So that is the trick. The other trick is to know what these symbols mean, and these symbols are numbers. So if you can figure out the numbering system, and you know how to work a 3x3 puzzle, you can solve this. It's easily, although with a little, takes a little elbow grease because you got to move things around. So here's what we're going to do. This is the number 4. Or, by the way, this is the number 1, number 8, and so forth. Number 7, 2, 3, 6, 5, and that may be it. Okay. Now, to do a 3x3 sliding puzzle, you have to first, the easiest way to do it, if you can imagine that this wall here is divided into 3 blocks sideways and 3 blocks up and down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 would be empty. Typically on a 3x3 sliding puzzle, the bottom right, one of the blocks is empty, usually is the bottom right hand. So the first, what you've got to do, the technique is to put these things in order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and then the others rotate into place easily. So to understand that, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but to understand that, better go watch a video about how to solve a 3x3 sliding puzzle. And these move the box, the cube, and the cube can only move into an empty space. So here, around the 1, for example, there's no empty space. So you press these, nothing happens. So I need to get the 1. Now, the only way to do this is to basically to take yellow stickies for sticky notes for and write on it these numbers and then the corresponding number that goes with it, and put them in order that they are, and then from there you can figure out how to solve a 3x3 sliding puzzle. So what we're going to do is go here. What do I want to do? I need to rotate. This is the bottom right hand corner, so I need to rotate things around so that I can move the 1 up into the upper left hand corner. So I'm going to go here and move this down. And that's the noise it makes. Makes a little vibration, makes that noise. I'm going to turn that noise off because it can be annoying. So I've rotated it, so then you have to move your little sticky down so you can keep track of what you're doing. It's the only possible way to solve this problem. Now the empty space is here. I'm going to move this guy down into it. And above it is the empty space. This guy's got to move into it. then the empty space is over here. Then the next guy's got to move into that. And then down below that is, below that space, which is here. Up here is empty, right? So below that is the 1. I move the 1 up and it's in place. The next thing I want to do is move the 2. Which is right here. Now I have to get him next to the 1, and I can just do that. So by moving things around, so I go down to the 1 over here. Here's the empty space, right? So he goes into the empty space. Now the empty space is next to the 2. The 2 goes into that empty space. Now the 2 is below where it's supposed to go. Right? So now I have to rotate this out of the way. Empty space is below him. And then I have to, the trick is that when you move these cubes, you actually, it's like you're riding the cube, so this number doesn't change. You're still in the same cube, which can be a little confusing. So here's the empty space. This guy's got to rotate out of the way. Now here's the empty space. Below the empty space is the 2. I slide him up and he's in. So now, oops, he's outside. So there's 1, 2. I got to get 3 here. 2 is up there. Now, here's the trick to these sliding puzzles. I can't just move 3 and slide it around and get it in place like I did 1 and 2. First thing I have to do is get 3 in the center of the puzzle. The center of the puzzle is happens to be here, which is the empty space. And I just have to rotate. First thing I have to do is rotate the 3 into it. So here is the 7. I'm going to rotate the 7 out of the way. And then over here is the 3. I'm going to rotate the 3 up. And then below here is the empty space into which I'm going to put this one. And then I'm going to, above here is the 3, over here is this one, which I'm going to rotate down. Then I just go over to the 3, whoops, and rotate him over, and now he is in the middle of the board. And then I have to rotate everything counterclockwise, if you can imagine that, if you're looking at your stickies. So I have to, what I need to do is to get over to this guy down here. See the empty space? I need the guy below that. Okay, so rotate him up. This guy I gotta rotate over. This guy rotate over. Here's our empty space. This guy will rotate down into it. Now, here's the 1. I have to rotate the 1 down. And don't worry, I understand we just put these in place, but we're going to put them back in place, so don't worry about that. 2. Move over. Now, the empty space is right here, and below the empty space is the 3. I move the 3 up. And okay, Now, I have to rotate it back so that everybody's in order. And where are we here? So we got to go down to this guy. Here's the empty space, I hope. Yeah, all right. Over he goes. I'm going to rotate him in. And then I got to rotate things clockwise. Right, so this guy's got to go down. 3 is right here, so now he ends up where he's supposed to go. Over here's the empty space, there's the 2, so the 2's in front of the 3. And then here's the 1, which has to go up. So now we're in order of 1, 2, 3. The next thing we do is below the 1, we've got to get the 4. So right now it's empty space. And I can just slide the 4 around to get it into place. So this guy is in his way, he moves over. Empty space is over here, the 4 moves in. And I just got to rotate the other people out of the way. So this guy's got to go up. This guy goes over. Where are we at? Here's our empty space. Okay. This guy's got to go over. This guy's got to go down. And then here should be the 4. And he just slides into the empty spot. Now the next thing I need to do is get the 7 below the 4. That's another trick to it. I can't just put things in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Have to do it a certain way. So I have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then the next one below it is 7, because that is the spot that 7 goes in. When you put these in order, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to put the 7 in place. And right now the 7 is over here. So we're going to move him over to the middle. Now that was convenient because that's where he's got to be. And then all we have to do is rotate the other pieces out of the way. And that has to be done in a clockwise direction. So I need to get to the 3, rotate him down. 2 rotates over. The 1 rotates over. The 4 rotates up. And then the 7 will rotate over to the left. And now the 7 he's not where he's supposed to go, but he's in numerical order. We're going to go down here, because now we have to move one of the other pieces into the middle, and that's going to be this guy. He moves up. And then we're going to rotate things back around. Hopefully I'm losing my stickies here. Okay, so, I got this right? No, I don't. Alright, so he moved. And then this guy, which is the 6, he's got to slide over. We go up here, 7 goes down. Now the 7 is where he belongs. The 4 goes back down where he was. Here's the empty space, hopefully, and it is. Here's the 1. Empty space, 2. Empty space, which it is. Well, let's go back here, and then the 3 goes up. And now you got 1, 2, 3. You have the empty spaces in the middle on the right hand side, which doesn't make any difference. And 4, and then below that is 7. All you got to do now is rotate the other into place. And let's see here. So we're going to rotate. We've got to go up 1. So he will rotate over. And he will rotate up. He will rotate over. May have been a more efficient way to do it, I suppose, but this is how we ended up with the pieces. And he goes over. Now, 5. What are we at? Okay. He goes up. Now I'm going to turn the sound on, because the next move is going to solve the puzzle. And we have this guy, and below him is this guy. Here's this plaque, which was the outside, which is the bottom right hand corner. Now listen. And here's this guy. And that is the end of that puzzle. Now we end up here. This one is not as complicated as it looks. You have a brick wall here. You look inside, and these are like books. They're in a certain order. The object is to spread these books out rather than have them like that. There's another wall that's identical, so I don't know of any difference between the two. So basically you traipse around till you find those. Whoops. And you move around until you find this. This is by tapping these, you move those other books. So I'm going to tell you how to do it right now. If you don't want the answer, then stop. But the answer is quite simple. I'm going to show you what happens first. If I tap this one, which is the book number 4, I go over, I go up, and this is where the wall is. So you move this book out. They were all together, now that one is moved out. So you have to tap that one a total of 3 times. So we did 1, 2, 3. The next one, 2. The next one, 1. Now listen. That's it, solve the puzzle. This one we don't touch. To find our way out, we go here. And exit. Okay, now, this is a cube chamber-like thing, except it's a pyramidal shape, so there's the bottom left-hand corner of the pyramid. And we go across, and we're going to find the bottom right-hand corner. There are boxes with a unique numbering system, and I find that sound annoying, so I'm going to turn it off. So that's 2, 3. So you have to part of the puzzle is to figure out the numbering system. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. So what number to put in there? That is the puzzle, and I'm going to tell you right now. Clue. There is a 2 scratched in there. In this box, a separate box, is a 4. The next box. This happens to be an 8. This happens to be a 16. So we have 2, 4, 8, 16. Surprisingly, this is a 32. So each one is double. Right? So what is 2 times 32 is 64. 2 times 64 is 128. So you see the 8? All right. Now, so the left to right ratio of double from left to right holds for the whole puzzle, the whole pyramid. Now, which one to put here? Well, that is the next trick. I will tell you there is a mathematical relationship between this and the box above it. And if you don't want to know that, you want to figure it out, stop. The answer is that the one above it, on each one of these boxes, the box immediately above it is 3.5 times that number, 3.5, multiplied by 3.5. So this is 4. What is 3.5 times 4? Well, 3 times 4 is 12. Half of that is 2, so that's 12 plus 2 is 14. 1, 2, and then this is 14. Now you can test that. There's 28. And you didn't have to work. In other words, they already gave you this. If you knew the 2 to 1 thing, you knew that that was half of it. The next one is twice of 28, so this is 56. Whoops, went past it. $56. 112. And 224. All right, there's 3.5 times. Let's see what's down here. Okay, this is for the 112, and 3.5 times 112. And I have to get out my calculator. And that is 392. Okay, half of 392 is 196. And half of that is 98. Now we have 192, and the last one is 3.5 times 192, which is 686, I think. I'm going to turn on the sound. There, got the little buzz. We solved the puzzle. Go down here and we exit. Alright, this one, there's not much to it, but it's totally black except for this light. But you find out that when you move your hand around, you end up here. So you click it. Speeds up the button. Speeds it up more. Speeds it up more. Speeds it up. And that's all you had to do 4 times. Nothing yet. That's going to be our way out. Alright, solve the puzzle. Go back here, and there's our exit. Alright, now this is the last puzzle. We're looking for an elevator. You are here. Elevator is over here. And you can just move through up and down the ladder through the doors. And there is nothing to prevent you from going wherever you want to. This is a schematic. It's a 7 by 7 array of cubes. there, where the black lines are, there are no actual barriers. These are sort of imaginary barriers that you have to pay attention to when you are moving through and pretend they're there. So we have to get here. The answer is obvious now. Basically, I already told you. We have to move up like so to get there. You can do, I suppose you could do any other way you want, but the easiest way is 2 over, 1 up, 2 over, 4 up, 2 over, 1 up. So we're going to go 2 over, 1 up, 2 over, 4 up. You know, you can make a drawing of that thing and take a picture of it or whatever you want to do so you remember. 2 over. Now listen. The elevator is arrived. Here, this is, goes nowhere. This is the elevator. Button. And that's that. Out you go. As far as I know, there's nothing that goes on here. You go through this door and you have completed the puzzle. I'm going to say my goodbyes here because when you get out here, it makes noise that I can't stop. And it basically starts all over again. So I hope this was helpful, and enjoy doing the puzzle.